started out, we know LeBron 20 years ago, like that whole thing, and just how do you kind of put into context as you approach a game, him still being at this level that he's at right now, and just the significance of having somebody that could be in a building 20 years later and still have a pretty key role?
I mean, just a one-on-one. You know, it's very rare you see. I was thinking about this today when I was made aware of all that. Like, just someone that came into this league with so much expected of them, and not only to match it, but totally break the mold and take it to an even higher ceiling, if there is a ceiling at all. And you know what he's been able to accomplish, and someone who filled all his obligations in terms of production, hype, winning, just did it all, and continues to do it. And so just thankful I get a chance to be a part of this journey, and you know, looking forward to having a lot of success with him.
I want to follow up, when you were playing, what was kind of the scouting report that you remember for somebody like you at the time when you're going and playing against LeBron, you know, relative to what it is now as you're his coach making one?
Now, I mean, obviously, you know, his jump shot, it hadn't come that far along, but still capable shooter. So you just want to stay in front of him, not let him get downhill. But I saw some more highlights. I didn't do a good job at all following the game. But nah, man. You know, that 03-04 Pistons team. You know, we had a lot of bulletproof vests to handle all those shots. So, but I mean, just to see him from way back then, and now be, you know, representing the same organization as him. You know, I'm just thrilled every day. Be able to talk to him, pick his brain, laugh, talk basketball, talk strategy. It's a fun position to be in, and again, I look forward to much more success in the present.
And then just relative to the Kings, when you played them last year, it was before this kind of version of the team, post All-Star break for them, and just wonder what you think the key differences might be, as to they still play a pretty similar style to what you face, but your team's pretty different.
Yeah, our team is different. You know, we're constantly trying to, you know, in the process of trying to build our continuity, figure out our lineup, our rotations, and whatnot. But you know, speaking of the Kings, it's just, you know, they've been through a war together, they've lost together, and I think you can see a sense of urgency when you watch them play. They're very familiar with one another. They're highly skilled. They've tasted winning. And so now, you know, they want more of that. And so you look at the different guys with De'Aaron and Keegan, and just their whole starting five, really, Sabo, all those guys. Kevin, Malik, the way he's playing off their bench, and, you know, just JaVale still is running and jumping like a deer. And so Davion Mitchell, I'm a huge fan of. I mean, they have and obviously they have a great coaching staff, you know, starting with Mike and his crew, and I have nothing but love for Mike Brown, everything he's done for me in my career. He's been a great friend for a lot of years, and so I'm happy for him, for the situation. Jordy, all these guys. Jordy did a hell of a job this summer with the Canadian national team, so I think obviously we don't have our hands full. There's no more nights off. I'm watching everyone around the league, as well as, you know, my own team, but the parity now, at least right now as it stands here in the current form, there's not many nights off, if any.
Hey, Darvin.
Hey, Dan.
What have you, I mean, sample sizes are incredibly small and all that, so what have you thought of Austin through 2 games, and do you think his minutes have been a little bit lower than maybe they were at the end of the playoffs and stuff like that? Is any of that related to still being kind of cautious with him out of Team USA?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more so just getting used to some new pieces. We've been tinkering with a 10-man rotation, and so that plays a role in it. Excuse me, but he'll be fine. I don't. Austin is the last person I worry about. He'll work through it. Like I said, we played into late May last year. He had a little bit of time off, then jumped right into the environment of Team USA and playing globally. That's a very physical brand of basketball, and then coming off of that, rejoining the team, and, you know, having a few weeks before we had to start officially. So he'll, you know, he's a young guy, you know, and to me, it's not based on age, it's based on workload. So no matter how old someone is, if they're carrying a heavy workload, you know, you're gonna see signs of that. But at the end of the day, the way he works on his body, the way he works on his game, he'll be fine. He just needs to continue to work and lean back on his habits.
So we got a little glimpse of Jared Vanderbilt on the court yesterday at the end of practice doing some ball handling stuff with Phil Handy. I know he's getting reevaluated 13, 12 days from now or something like that, but what's that ramp up going to look like over the next 12 days before the next reevaluation? Is there going to be some on-court stuff, one-on-one, two-on-two, three-on-three? Like, what's the progression like for him?
Well, you know, we're in unison with our performance team and our team doctor, so it'll be a day-by-day thing. Whatever that day calls for, we'll make the plan for it. We have a little bit of an idea, one that I won't share at this particular moment, but there is a plan in place, and you know, we're just going to take time. We're at the outset of the season. We're on the front end of this thing, so you know, maybe that ramp-up process looks different if it's in April or May, and we really need him. But at this point in time, we have time on our side, and there's no need to rush him back out on the floor. We need to take our time to make sure, as we always do with all of our players, to make sure that he's in a really good space and he's 100% free and clear of doing any further damage before we roll him back out there.
Coach Ham, Rui Hachimura in the last couple games, I think he's averaging like 13 and a half minutes. You just spoke about your rotation. Just want to know what his status was. Is you know, the way you're playing right now, is it just based on personnel decisions on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, you know, different matchups play a part. Guys get to playing well. And again, that's one of the beautiful problems to have when you have a deep roster of very capable players. And so, you know, we'll continue to work at it and work through it. And my biggest thing for those guys is just to stay ready. You know, I call it the Lonnie Walker theory. It's you know, stay in the right state of mind, continue to work, mentally be focused on the information that's being shared from the coaching staff, and try to embrace that so you can get more and more familiar with how we want to play on both sides of the ball. And then when your number is called, you'll be more than ready to step out there and get right back in rhythm. But there's no personal reason. I just think it's circumstantial. Like I just mentioned, we've been toying with a 10-man rotation, so we're trying to see how that works. Or we need to go down, a man down, or to 9. We'll see. And that's what the early part of the year is for. But in the meantime, whoever gets to be on the floor, they have to compete, defend, and share and sacrifice on the offensive side of the ball.
Yesterday, when speaking with Cam and D'Lo, Cam mentioned D'Lo as someone that's really taken him under his wing, and D'Lo said he's kind of doing for him what Joe Harris did for D'Lo back in Brooklyn. Just being around him the past 7 months, or just being around, I guess maybe seeing him around the league. You know, time you guys been in the league together. Just how have you seen him mature in terms of that leadership role, and how has that factored into just getting some of the new guys along into, I guess, the organization?
You talking about D'Lo?
Yeah, D'Lo. Yeah.
I mean, I just think you get to a point in your career where, you know, he's had the individual accomplishments. He's been all-star. He's been deep in the playoffs now. He's earned, rightfully so, a ton of money. So now at this point in time, you really start to share your blessings and share your knowledge and share your wisdom. And so to see that what he's doing with Cam, it's beautiful. It's the same thing, you know, AD's done. He's doing with Jackson, he's done with Christian Wood, Brian with Rui, Brian with Torian Prince, Brian with Vando, like Austin, all our young guys. I mean, that's been one of the highlights thus far this season and the off season coming out of last year. Just seeing how our elder players, and particularly Brian and AD, and just mentioned D'Lo, how those guys have taken different guys on our roster under their wings and tried to share their knowledge and wisdom and way of doing things with them. And all it does is makes us more unified, there's more cohesion, and just more continuity. And you see that play out once we get on the game floor.
Darvin, D'Lo earlier in the preseason talked about being a little bit more intentional or purposeful about being a better defender, admitting that like in the playoffs last year, he might have played off the floor a little bit. What have you seen from him at the defensive end so far this year?
Just him being locked in mentally, asking questions during film sessions, breakdowns, walkthroughs, him making a conscious effort to be more energetic, more active on that side of the ball. And that's all you ask for as a coach, is for your team, your players to give that effort, especially there, because that's something you can do damn near perfect every night. You know, shots are going to fall. Some nights they're not going to fall. You're going to have different people step up and score the ball. So the offense can be a little subjective. Which subject is really, you know, producing and giving that scoring output. But defense, it's more objective. We look at different things we want to take away and the different things we're willing to live with, you know, in terms of trying to defend our opponents. And if everyone is locked in, everyone comes with that energy and that effort, you can damn near do it right every night. And that's one of the things he and I talk about one-on-one, and he's done it. Like, he's been active, and, you know, it's not about being the best defender. You just try not to be the worst.
Darvin, the second unit that you put in kind of midway through the first and third quarters, it's Gabe and Rui, a lot of individual offensive talent. I haven't seen a ton of offensive success so far. Just wondered what it looked like on film. Of course, it's early, but what are you looking for from that?
I want all my guys to be aggressive, assertive, and whether they're making shots or not, as long as they're good looks, which our eyes, our numbers from our analytical department says they are good looks, I want them to keep taking them, and eventually they'll go in.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.